I do want to ask a question about hard work.
Yep.
Because it does seem so formulaic. Like everyone who's successful will tell you the same exact thing. But what is it about, like, how do you find that drive to do that hard work? And especially even just hanging with you that little bit in New York, that last round, like you are literally always working. And I asked you, like, when do you have fun? How do you balance that work and play life?
The answer, you know, you got to the answer before I was able to jump in. I don't think anybody can work hard unless they like it. I was the least hard working student in the history of this fucking country. I got D's and F's for real. Like, I'm so pumped we were able to get my report card from high school a couple years ago so I could put it out, because like when I was saying that, I could tell that people thought I was getting C's. I was like, no, D's, because you actually have to try to get D's and F's. And what I mean by that is you have to completely go all in on never paying attention and never doing anything, which is exactly what I accomplished.
That crushes my soul because I tried my hardest. And then guess what, bro? D's and F's, bro. But I wasn't there like, no, fuck this. I was like, dude, I got my dad's gonna beat my ass, bro.
So you know, there's a really tricky part to this whole thing in my mind, which is why I love that artists are in a different place now with NFT land. Comedians or people with like what you were affected by with Vine, long tail models for Instagram. There's genres that come along that really work for certain people, right? For me, the macro of that is entrepreneurship. I was selling lemonade and shoveling snow and washing cars and selling baseball cards every day of my childhood, or every other day in between playing sports, because it was more fun for me than anything else I could do.
Yep.
On a normal summer day when I was 11 years old, and I grew up in the 80s, like we went outside. You would just go outside and play. And like, you know, some people, like I had friends, this will make sense to a lot of people. Oh, Dustin, I had several friends who were like very like dirt bike, like they were like those skater dirt bike kicks, and nothing was more fun for them to like drive down like the race. We had train tracks and like do the dirt bike thing. For me, I couldn't even give a second to that. But ringing people's doorbells and like ding dong, like, can I wash your car for $5 was like the greatest thing that ever happened.
Really?
To me. Yeah. So for me, it's really easy, and I see it in others. What's awesome now with the internet is entrepreneurship is so much more creative. I think without the creative lens, you wouldn't have worked as hard if it was like pure entrepreneur. I was like pure, like I'm a salesman. I like it. I like the sales part. I like the operations part. So I have big companies. I like to operate. But now there's so many options for the people that are watching that like they don't like their job. And like, that's just part of like making a binary decision of, are you willing to risk the upfront for the long-term happiness? Most people are stuck because they live within the means of their salary and they've got debt and they're like stuck in a hamster wheel. And the only way to get out is to downgrade your optics. Worse car, worse apartment, worse year or 2 or 3 in your trips and your nightlife. And I'm very empathetic that for a lot of people, they can't make that move. They can't move out of Manhattan and move an hour and a half away in Jersey or Connecticut.
But it's a very important move, because
It's a very important
I've always
move.
talked about it, and being humble in your purchases.
It's hard.
It is, but it's so fucking important.
I think
it weeds out posers in my opinion,
Yeah.
because I look around a lot of people that are in my industry and I'm watching them hop out of these cars, have these jewelers, have these clothes. And I'm like, man, like you're saving nothing for like the future. You're not investing anything. Like they want to make sure people know that they're killing it. And I've always been on the opposite. I don't care what your opinion of me is.
Yeah.
I think I grew up being hated so much that even people liking me in a little bit, it's cool. I'm like, oh, great. People kind of like my shit. Like when I read hate comments, people are like, oh, this guy, he thinks he's funny, but his stand-up thing's going to suck. And I'm like, dude, he believes I'm going to do a stand-up show. Like I really take the best thing out of everything. And I think once you look at it from that point of view, you can't lose. So instead of buying like Louis Vuitton shoes, put that to your rent and then go invest that money into something you like.
I just have a lot of compassion for the world we now live in. It's incredibly driven by insecurity and short-term needs, magnified by the tools that allow people to execute on those feelings. People have been insecure their whole life. Like the world's always had insecure people. Those people just didn't have the outlet of using social media to keep creating more makeup for their insecurity. So it becomes a hamster wheel of it. This is why having real conversations is very important, because there's a lot of people out there that if they just shift their head and look at the world from a different perspective, they can be in a much happier place. And I take on that vibe.